I've got to make a few of these pot stand sets up. So if you're interested, I'll show you how I make them and how they're set up and what they're for. It's not the only way to do them. You can make them lots of different ways, but it's just one way that I like. They're made up of a pot hanger itself, which has bird beak notches on it, which will hang and allow you to adjust the pan up and down, as you'll see. A wire branch to go in the ground to support the main rod, and some tent pegs. They're all easy to make, all bits of wood that you can find without bothering too much. Tools used for it: I've got a Mora carbon blade, razor sharp, cheapy axe, but again razor sharp, the Baco Laplander wood saw, which they all rave about, which locks out and locks in. So that's one thing you should always be looking for on a saw like that, that they lock in and lock out, then they're not going to come open in your bag. They all rave about them, they're okay. Personally, I prefer the other one. They're about £30 to buy. This ranges between £5 and £10 to buy. It's a Samurai garden pruning saw. It locks in and locks open. Nice curve to the blade, razor sharp, and cuts better, in my opinion, than the Laplander, and a lot cheaper. So they're the tools. You don't need all them tools. You can do it with just a knife, which I'll demonstrate to you. That is a pot hanger set up. It's just one way of doing it. You've got the hanger for your pot that goes over the fire. 3 or 4 adjustment points on it, so I'll go up and down. As so. A wire branch which gives it support, it's pretty solid, and a couple of tent pegs that secure it at the base. And I've got to make a couple of these up for a project I'm doing. Right, let's crack on with some tent pegs then. If you're doing tent pegs, I wouldn't go much thicker than that. And the length of them go from your elbow, thereabouts, to the middle finger. You can go down to this sort of size. So we'll start with this one. You want to choose the top and the bottom, normally the wider bit to the top and the narrow bit to the bottom. Then get your knife. And when you're cutting, you want to stay away from this area. Definitely. It's known as a triangle of death. All your main arteries are there, and you don't want to be anywhere near them. So the best way to cut it is to put it on something, stand to the side, take it up a couple of inches, and slice down. You're looking to get about a third of the way through it. And this is dry dead wood, so it's hard carving. When you've done that, turn it round a little and go for the next point there. you've got a flat like that, turn it round, you're making a triangle. So then you're cutting down, trying to make a triangle. The reason we do that is 3 cuts are the least it'll take to get a point. Once you've got it so far, you can bring it up and just trim it round, and there you have your point. The top of it. So the next cut we're going to do is on the top, just around the edges off, and it's a thumb push. So you have the thumb on the back of the knife, taking little bits off all the way around the edge. As so. And the reason we're doing that is if you decide to hit this into the ground, it won't split the wood as easy. The next thing you want to do is I use my middle finger and go down to get a mark. Put the knife on there, and now you can either rock it around to cut it in, but on this I'm going to hit it in with a wooden mallet that I made up. As such, you're not trying to cut all the way through, just a way into it. That's all. And then you want to take your knife and cut upwards towards that line. With the thumb push again. You can go across that line and clear it out. And this is in case you want to use a guideline. Obviously if you've got a tarp or a bivvy setup that you need pegs for, saves you taking them with them if you've got hours to spend, or you're setting up a base camp. It's nice to make your own pegs and then leave them there for the next guy. And that's about it. Just so it'll hang on your finger. And then we have a tent peg. Right, well, for those of you that have noticed, I've swapped out my axe stand for this. This is a little steadier. You should always check your gear. My mistake. I think my legs have gone past the sell-by date. So that needs looking at, but that's another day. The next one we can do is the larger one, using the axe. Same setup. Find the thicker end, and you get your knife that you push cut around the top. Take your middle finger again, give it a mark, and at this time use the saw. You've got your mark there, use your saw. Now you're not trying to cut all the way through, remember, just making a good notch. That's your knife. Always away from it, using your push cut again. God, this thing is hard stuff. And just cutting it to your saw cut. Just a different way of doing it. Sometimes it's easier on thicker pieces. It all depends what kind of mood you're in and what tools you've got with you. And there you go. That's that part. For the point, you can use your axe. Same principle. You're looking to make a triangle. Just axe in. So you're about a third of the way through. Turn around. And you go for your triangle again. Just adjust myself. As such. When your triangle looks thinner, if you're carrying on with the axe, you want to be more careful because you will break the tip of your peg. As such. So when you get to that point, you've got the worst of it. And you might have noticed I keep putting the tools away. That's because the razor's sharp. It's good practice to get into. When you've got that far, you can quite simply finish it off with the knife. And this is obviously easier with green wood, but there you go. One big tent peg, and they're as simple as that to make. You make as many as you need. The next thing we want to talk about is the wide wrench. And the wide wrench, this is a bit of a scraggly one. It's got a bit of Y on it, and it's a bit short. They're both a bit short really, but I'm going to do one just to show you. The reason they want to be slightly longer than knee height is because they go under there, and this determines the height that the pot hanger is going to hang at. As so, which with your billy can on determines where you want the fire. So if you're doing it over a fire pit, you're obviously going to have to move that right up there to get the height. If you're doing the fire on the ground, you can obviously have it lower. So these do alter, but a rough guide is always higher than your knee, probably up to your waist. So that's that start of that. And these want to be about 6 foot long. And they will be pointed at one end and chisel tipped at the other. The Y hanger, we want to put a point on the bottom. Same as before, 3 cut point. Just chucking into it, turn around. There we go, turn around. Until you get your triangle. Which is a bit of a narrow one though. Say, always cover your tools up. If you're leaving it with other people around, just get your knife and give her a bit of a finish off. Back to your point again. The other thing I like to do on the Y hangers is just go around the tops with them. This is just a personal thing, it's not actually detrimental, it's just something I do just to round them off so you're not catching on anything. And there we have that. The other thing I like to do is just take the bits off if there's big chunks, which I probably should have done before I did the point. But hey ho, they're off. And that's your Y branch. The next thing I want to talk about is the long pole for the pot hanger. This is the main part. They want to be about 6 foot in length, about this thickness, a bit of spring to them. You want to lie the pole with the thick end down and just put your finger underneath it, and as you can see, if it's not lying right, it will flip and sit to its best position. Once you've got that position, take your knife and just mark the top as such, and that's where you're going to put your chisel tip. Take your knife and you want to be going in about to the middle, just so you see the pith. Halfway and just check it again. You can show that's sitting flattish. Give it a bit more. There we go. Turn her over at the opposite side and just flatten that down a bit. So you're forming your chisel tip as such. Finger that round. Check her again. And then you want to be getting the tip of the blade near the end and just making a divot. This is why you do it there and not near. By spinning the blade round, twisting her back and forth, you'll make a divot hole. I don't think you're going to be able to see that on camera, but it's there. I think that's right. We'll just check it with one I've already done. She should hang on the end as such. Now when you're hanging these and you've made this part, your billy can wants to go on the opposite one, so you've got your adjusters that will go on the stick end. Obviously if that's got the billy can on, it's going to weigh down as such. And the other end of this is again just a point cut, which you can do with the knife or the axe, and just get your 3-point cut going again. This is a bit greener, so it's easier to do. Give her a twist round. So you fold your triangle again. And then just keep working at her until she comes to a point. As I said before, this is the easiest way, uses the least energy to make a point. Nearly there. shoulders. Put your tools away, always. And that's your main stick. That's going to hang your pots. There you go. So the next bit we're going to have a go at is the actual pot hanger itself. One of them. They want to be roughly yay long, which surprisingly is about from the back of your elbow to your finger line. Nice using your body, because once you get used to it, it's always there to measure. Again, it's a point of preference, but I like just to round the tips, stop splinters. It's not necessary because you're not knocking it into anything, but okay. For the amount of time it takes, it's just a nice touch to do to it. So, we'll go from the thinner end of the stick. I use my finger again from the top to there, and I'll make a mark across. Rocking the knife or rolling the stick, doesn't matter, just so it cuts in. So you've got a good mark there. Should put the glasses on. There. You're going to take the knife at an angle and you're going to hold it there. You're going to get a baton or a mallet, depending where you are and what you've made, and you're going to form an X. So you want to be knocking that in as such. Go across it. There we go. And like that. So you formed an X. Sure you won't be able to see it yet. So then you decide which way your beak hook wants to be. Mine's going to be this way because it's going to hang that way. So the beak's going to come down here at a V. So the top part of the X I want to leave in. I'm going to take the side and just gently take the bark off. To my lines I've already cut in. So you can see the V, whoops, there. And then underneath, from the bottom of the X, just start to just gently chisel in. And then work your way in from the sides, cutting into it. Using a thumb push if you like. Working from the bottom again until you've got the nice bird-shaped beak that you want. Cut into it. And again, this is a lot easier with green wood. I'm not telling you to take green wood from anywhere. There's plenty of dead stuff knocking around to practice on. But if you were out in the wilderness, I'd definitely be more looking at using green. I think this is a bit of birch. Hazel's good, willow's good. Both good woods for using for pot hangers. As sustainable on the hazel and willow side. But there you go. And you will end up about halfway through the actual timber you're using, so they do have to be thick enough to accommodate what you're trying to do. see it's coming along now. The idea will be that that will hang on your fingertip. If you can do that with it, you're either there or not far off. But just tighten that up a little bit. That. One bird hook beak, one bird beak hook. That's a tongue twister, and that should hang my finger. And if I grab this, it should hang from there. And there you go. That takes an awful lot of pressure. That won't come off easy. Next one, you want to be on the opposite side, so there, opposite side to the beak. Finger again, and give yourself a mark again. Shifting that knot out of the way. Now this time you want to form the X. So with a baton, well, a baton is just a good heavy piece of twig that's around for you to use. You want to get your knife at an angle to form that X again, and just give her a knock in. Go all the way through. Taking your X cut, which would be a lot easier if that knot wasn't there. But hey ho. Give her a good bashing. Now this time you want to make sure when you're cutting it that you've got this beak opposite to this beak. Because if you don't, it won't hang. Again, using the push foot, thumb push foot. And rocking the blade into the V and get the stuff out, even on a knot. Just takes a little bit more work because of the harder material. You might have noticed I use the tip of the blade a lot. It's just my preference. Using up and down the blade. Different angles of the blade, it's still something you get used to using it. It all comes with more experience. So you'll get the knot out of the way. And you'll end up with that. You can always check that again. Make sure you're right. Find your divot hole, drop her in, and she will hang there. You can hang an awful lot of weight off that. So working from the thick end of the stick again, you're going to take your finger roughly from where the beak is to the palm of your hand, and give it another mark, make a line across, and then put your X in again, in line with that one. Or roughly in line with that one. So there you go, you've got your X carved into it, your bird beak there, your one there. You're going to put 3 down here, or 4, depending on the length. These can be longer or shorter depending on how high you want them. One thing you have to keep in mind is when you're carving this, to make sure you're carving them in the same direction, because if you carve one in the wrong direction, it won't be any good. And as I keep saying, greenwood's a lot easier to carve with, but it's practice, and it costs nothing to practice. I don't think anybody's going to be too mithered about you finding some dead sticks. It might be if you start cutting down the fresh hazel and the willow all over the place. So save that for when you're out in the wilderness. But for practicing, this is what it's all about. That's why I'm doing it. And as I say, fairly in line, and that gives you then the adjustment when you've got your billy can handling. That's in the ground, your wire's underneath it, your pegs are on the other end holding it. You can go up from the fire, hook her on, billy can will stand on this, and when your fire goes down, you can move it down just by moving this. So there you go. We just need to do one more in that, and that's that done. I'll be back to you. So I've done the extra hook in our little pot hanger. We've got our Y stick, the pot hanger, we've got a couple of tent pegs, and we've got our main pole. So we're all ready to go. So let's go and set them up. Well, there we go, all set up over the fire pit, kettle's on, water's going. And I'm about ready for a coffee. I think it needs lowering down a bit though. And that's how easy it is. Maybe take it to the last one. Just got to make sure the bird's beak's in the notch and it won't go anywhere. How's that? So I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've learnt something, or if you haven't, doesn't matter. If you could click the like button, the subscribe buttons, do all the usual stuff, I'd be appreciated. And if you want me to do anything in particular, like I said before, let me know. I'll just keep on doing what I'm doing and hope you enjoy it. As you can see, that's the mesh fire pit from the other night. I thought I'd get that out for a change, just to show how easy it is to be transportable. Make one of these sets up and cook your dinner over the fire without bringing anything else with you. So I'm going to go and have a coffee as soon as this gets a boil on. And it's nice and warm now. So take care. May God be with you. There's a good reason as well, if you keep watching, that you should always check your kit. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. I didn't. Just so it'll hang on your finger. And then we have a temp peg.